You absolutely love to see this unfold as the Boston Celtics, after a long awaited week of having no basketball, with them having the All-Star break, came out guns a-blazing on the road and took care of a victory, dethroning the Philadelphia 76ers, in which we saw a huge performance from bench guys like Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, and even a big implication standout with Torrey Craig as well, who's made himself as a notable addition so far for the Celtics. We'll be getting into all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support for the channel. And with the second half of the season getting underway here post All-Star break, we're going to have daily coverage here on Celtics Digest revolving around this team. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything, news, uh, breakdowns of players, weekly live streams, this is the place for you. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's dive in and let's get into this game breakdown, as this was great to see. Like I mentioned, you absolutely love to see this. As a Celtics fan, we obviously know that they won their last game versus the San Antonio Spurs at home, but their last game that they played against the 76ers on the road was a little bit of a complicated one. They obviously got the comeback, getting the biggest comeback in this NBA season versus the 76ers in that performance, but you were hoping the Celtics would give you a little bit of a dominant performance this time on the road in Philly, and that's exactly what we were showcased here tonight. A big whopping 124 to 104 victory here, and the Sixers had some healthy players as well. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George were all readily available for this Sixers squad, but the Celtics were just too much to handle as they came out guns a-blazing, like I mentioned, shooting lights out from three-point range to start this performance. Derrick White instantaneously catching fire with this Celtics team. He finished with 16, 3 for 7 from the field with 10 rebounds and plus 14. But if you look at this Celtics squad, like I mentioned, they shot the ball pretty solid. Porziņģis 50% from the field from three. Holiday 66%. Derrick White close to 50%. Jaylen Brown a little under 50%. Jayson Tatum a little under 50%, but very, very solid there. And then the main man of the night, Peyton Pritchard, was absolutely electrifying tonight as he absolutely went off for this Boston Celtics team. 28 points, 10 for 18 from the field, 8 for 15 from three-point range in 31 minutes. And we'll get into Peyton Pritchard in a little bit. But like I mentioned, we saw a lot out of this Celtics team in this dominant performance here tonight, not only just offensively, but defensively as well, as Al Horford and Luke Cornett were both valuable assets for this Celtics team, really honing in. And Luke Cornett had a very, very sick big slam as well. Like I mentioned with Luke, he's been the perfect fundamental backup big for the Boston Celtics, doing exactly everything that they need. And he is that prototypical backup big that you want to have on this Celtics squad. He can play in the post, can size up guys defensively, be a rim protector and a rim deterrent and shot blocker, but also being a solid lob threat and passer as a big as well. He really complements the style of the Boston Celtics, where they like to move the ball, and he knows where to get the ball to guys cutting and passing as well, which I love to see. Not only with that, with Luke Cornett playing very solid, we saw Jrue Holiday, who inserted himself back into the lineup, which once again, offensively, isn't as much as a threat for this Celtics team, but tonight was effective in his shooting. 66% from the field for the three, 50% from the field with only 8 points. Jayson Tatum had 18 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. His second triple-double of the season, and the first time in his career where Jayson Tatum has had multiple triple-doubles in 1 year. You got to give the credit to Jayson Tatum there. Like I mentioned, Luke Cornett, Al Horford both had some fantastic games, and Torrey Craig was a sleeper as well. As Craig, even though he had 0 points in the 9 minutes he played, finished with 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 blocks. And he had 3 of those blocks in 6 minutes tonight, which was absolutely insane to see. For the 76ers, like I mentioned, they didn't really pack much of a punch here from their squad. We did get to see some Ricky Council versus Jordan Walsh minutes late in the game, with both of those Arkansas guys going at it. But like I mentioned, this 76ers team just unfortunately isn't built for the playoffs. They've lost some of their key role players and guys that have been helpful, but unfortunately this team is just not built to compete. Paul George hasn't been that guy. He hasn't scored over 20 points in, I think, over a month now at this point. Joel Embiid's been injured. They've just been battered up with injuries, and it's understandable and it's totally fine. But for the Celtics here, like I mentioned, one of the big names that came up here tonight was Peyton Pritchard. And like I mentioned, 10 for 18 from the field, 8 for 15 from three-point range, 4 assists, 28 points. Peyton Pritchard is that, scoring guy. We saw this happen in the start of the season when the Celtics went on that little bit of a tear all throughout the year. But in the first months with Peyton Pritchard obviously leading the Sixth Man of the Year conversations, and us Celtics fans still feel that he still is leading those Sixth Man of the Year conversations. But with some quieter weeks through the last couple months, some other names have emerged in that conversation alongside Peyton Pritchard that have, erupted a bit of a debate. But Pritchard obviously offensively can be that guy, can create his own shot, can fundamentally help out this team, not just as a scorer, as a guy who can create his own shot or make a shot, with catch and shoot, but ultimately as a playmaker, as a facilitator, as a pick and roll maestro, as a guy who can score in the at the rack as well, also as a fantastic passer, offensive rebounder. He ultimately does it all and gives his heart and soul for the energy of this second unit, and that's something that, like I mentioned, you absolutely love to see with this team. And he's a true definition of a Boston Celtic. He puts in that hard work. He went to Turk and Caicos for a nice little vacation, wasn't invited to the All-Star break, wasn't invited to the three-point competition, even though he's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. A little bit shocking, a little bit weird, but hey, Peyton Pritchard used that fuel, used that energy to bounce back and propel himself into this eruption tonight here with 28 points. And once again, putting a stamp on why you should look out for Boston Celtics, because not only when healthy, they have a top core, top to bottom, but if we look at this team, right? The starting five all played terrific. Peyton played good. Cornette played good. Horford played very solid. Hauser had a little bit of a streaky shooting night, but if you look at that, a plus 14, was out there playing some solid defense and effective when the team needed him most with 2 assists and 2 rebounds. Like I mentioned, this Celtics team has enough motion to go. They also have guys like Torrey Craig, Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman out on those outskirts, as well as extra depth pieces to ultimately use. And that's what gives them, in my humble opinion, the best chance to still win the NBA championship at this very moment as defending champions. Obviously, some other teams have gone stronger in the Eastern Conference and over out West as well. But I still feel confident with this team that if they are fully 100% healthy, that there is no one stopping them in the Eastern Conference, and they should be in the NBA Finals once again. But I want to know your thoughts, what you ultimately think of this post game. As like I said, the Celtics are back and they gave us what we wanted to see. A big W in a big way versus the 76ers on the road, a statement win to let everybody know that Boston still owns Philly. Regardless of them winning the Super Bowl just a couple weeks ago, the Celtics still run the city. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about this Celtics team. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.